Oh, good day, everybody. I trust that you're well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 4 English lesson on Greek and Latin roots. And before we start with our lesson on Greek and Latin roots, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca, with our username as well as our password. And then we're going to select the subject of language arts, grade 4. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of Greek and Latin roots. So Greek and Latin roots. All right. So our chapter is Greek and Latin roots. Our subject is English language arts, grade 4. And our lessons are to use Greek and Latin roots as clues to the meanings of words, and also to use the meanings of words as clues to the meaning of Greek and Latin roots. So that is going to be our lessons that we are going to be focusing on today under the chapter of Greek and Latin roots. All right, so we are now by Greek and Latin roots. So a root, right? It is a part of a word that has a certain meaning. So that is a root. So root, it is part of a word that has a certain meaning. And words that share the same roots, they often have similar meanings that are related to the meaning of the root. Right? For example, phone means sound. So phone means sound, which is, for example, PHON. So either phone or phone, right? But it means sound. And another example would be a xylophone. It is a musical instrument with wooden bars that are hit by small hammers. So our root phone, which is PHON, it means sound, right? And if we look at the word xylophone, right? Xylophone is an instrument, or let's say a wooden instrument with bars that you hit and that creates sound, right? So it creates sound. And when you play or when you hit, let's say, for example, the wooden bars, then it also creates different sound, right? So that is basically also what they mean with it means sound, or it creates sound, right? Or it's something to do with sound. And then we have homophones, right? Homophones are words with sounds that are the same. So homophones are words that sound the same, or it's with sounds that are the same, but they have different meanings. So the sounds are the same of certain words. And if we were to look at certain words that, let's say, that are the same, it would, for example, be words like buy. This is to pay for something, right? It's you going to the shop and you're buying something. So you need to purchase something, meaning you give money. In exchange, you either get your product, you get whatever that you buy, that you were buying. So buy. And then we have another word buy that means near. And then we have another word buy, which is short for saying goodbye. And if you look at those three words, which is buy, and buy, all three of those words, they sound the same. But all three of them are spelled differently, and also the meanings of these words are different. Then we have another word, which is telephone. So telephone, right? Remember our root word is phone. So telephone. And a telephone is a machine that can carry the sound of someone's voice over a long distance, right? Meaning that we do not have to be near each other in order to hear each other, right? A telephone is a machine that can carry sounds of someone's voice over long distances. So once again, we have the root phone, right? So the root phone, which means it's xylophone. All right. So we said that our root word is phone or phon, right? And our root word phone, it means sound. It means sound. And then if we look at examples of words with the root words of phone, then we say xylophone, right? Xylophone. And it is a musical instrument with wooden bars that you hit by small hammers. So if you hit different bars, you get different sounds that's coming from it, from the xylophone. Then homophones are words that sounds the same, but they have different meaning. All right. So we said we have homophones, and homophones are words that sounds the same, but the meanings as well as the spelling of these words are different. And I made an example of words like buy, right? We have three different ways in which we can write buy, but all three of these words, buy, and buy, they sound the same, but the spelling as well as the meanings of these words are different. Then we have a telephone, which is a machine that can carry the sound of someone's voice over a very, very long distance, right? So, which means that if we look at the root word phone, right, then basically all of these meanings they relate to the concept of sound, right? Like we said, homophones are words with the same sound, different meanings. Xylophone is creating a sound, it's like with wooden bars. And then the telephone, it is basically a good sound of someone's voice, but I would say you basically hear it in your ear, especially if it's like those telephones that you put against the wall. So basically, all of these meanings, they relate to the concept of sound, right? And you can use your knowledge of roots to figure out the meaning of the words that haven't been seen before. All right. All right. So we say that these words, they relate to the concept of sound, and you can use your knowledge of roots to figure out the meanings of words that you haven't even seen before, right? For example, a root cyclo. A root cyclo means, or the root cyclo means circle of wheels, right? That is what the meaning of that word means. Root cycle. It means circle or it means wheel. And then we have the root meter, and the root meter means to measure, right? So which means that you're gonna have to measure on your own, right? And then we have a cyclometer, which is a device that measures how many times a wheel changes. So once again, you can use your knowledge of roots to figure out the meaning of words that you haven't seen, right? Like the root cyclo, once again. Cyclo means circle, or it means wheel. It's the same as like saying, for example, now that we circle or wheel, then if we even look at the word cycle, right? To cycle, right? Like a bicycle, right? It has basically two wheels, right? That is circular, right? So the root cyclo, it means circle or it means wheel. And the root meter, then we have the root meter. The word meter, it means to measure, right? So meter means to measure, cyclo means circle or wheel. But now if you put those two words together, as in cyclometer, then a cyclometer is a device that measures how many times a wheel turns. So meter is to measure, cyclo means wheel or circle. But then if you put those two words together, like cyclometer, then it is a device that is used to measure how many times a wheel turns. All right. So basically, we have Greek and Latin roots, right? And so far, we only have spoken about roots, and we said that a root is part of a word that has a certain meaning, right? And words that share the same roots, they often have similar meanings that are related to the meaning of a root, right? And we made an example of the root phone, and we made an example now of the root cyclo as well as meter. All right, so, and we are doing our tutorial lesson on aplusstudents.ca, right? We're doing our tutorial lesson on aplusstudents.ca. All right, let's go to a+students.ca. Yes, buy and buy. Those are homophones, right? And those are words that sounds the same. Since we were doing phone, so those are words that sounds the same, but the meanings as well as the spelling of those words are different, right? All right, so we're going to our first lesson, which is to use Greek and Latin roots as clues to the meaning of words. All right, so we made an example of the word phone, right? When we spoke about when we spoke about root, and then we made an example of phone, and we said phone means, or the root phone means sound, right? And then we made an example of xylophone, which is an instrument with wooden bars that you hit, and each one of those wooden bars have different sounds to it, especially if you hit it. And then we have homophones, which are words that sounds the same, but they have different meanings. And we made an example of buy, and buy. So all three of these words, they sound the same, but the meaning of those words are different, as well as the spelling of those words are different. And then telephone is a machine that can carry the sound of someone's voice over a very long distance. And once again, a root is a part of the word that has a certain meaning. And words that share the same root that often have similar meanings that are related to the meaning of the root. So we said a root is a part of a word that has a certain meaning, and words that share the same roots that often have similar meanings that are related to the meanings of the root, right? All right. So now let's go to this word that says telegraph. Right? A telegraph is an old-fashioned way to send a written message to someone who is very far away. The root teller. So the root teller, it means far away. So we say the telegraph is an old-fashioned way to send a written message to someone who is far away. So which means that the root teller, it means far away. So now we know teller means far away. What does the root graph mean? So the root graph, it either means to draw, or the root graph means to write. So either need to draw or you need to write. All right, so graph is something that is written or you draw it. So the word photograph, right? It contains the root photo. So the word photograph, it contains the word photo. And that word photo, it actually means light. So the word buy, right? If I were to go back to homophones, homophones are words with that sounds the same, but the meanings of the words are different, right? And I made an example of buy. It's like I'm paying for something. I'm going to the shop and I'm buying a cell phone, or I'm buying new jeans, like, but you are purchasing something, right? So you need to give money and they give you your items of clothing or whatever that you're buying. Then we have the word by, which means near. We are sitting by the tree. And then we have another word by, which is BYE. And this by means short for goodbye, right? So that is what it means when I said by, and by. So which means that all three of these words, if I say the words, then it sounds the same, right? By, it sounds the same. But the spelling of the words are different, as well as the meaning of these two words are different. All right. So we're saying now we were by photograph, right? And the word photograph contains the root photo. So photo comes from, or let's say photo is the root, which means light. So photo means is the root that means light, right? So which means that the word photograph, it means a picture that made using the light that enters a camera, a picture. So it is a picture made using light that enters a camera. All right. So we have photograph, which is from the root photo, which means light. So now if we put those word photo and graph together for photograph, then it means it's a picture that is made using the light that enters a camera, right? All right, and yeah, by number three, we have a television is a machine that uses signal sent from far away to make pictures and sounds and sound people can watch, right? And if we look at the root, then the root is teller. So we see that the root word teller, so teller means far away. And if we look at the word vis or vis, so the word vis, it is basically for you to see or to look at, right? So a television, if we look at the whole word television, after we have broken down, let's say the root tele, which is far away, and vis, right? Then it means that it is to see or to look at, and that is television. It's to see or to look at. And remember, when it comes to Greek and Latin roots, they're actually telling us that the root word, right, would basically mean something. So the root word within that sentence would mean something, or within a word would mean something. And then all the other words added together in order to get that word, right, will then create another meaning that is similar to what the root meaning is. Or let's say to similar to what the root or the meaning of the root would be. All right. Let's go to our test and let's just begin our test on how to use Greek and Latin roots as cues or as clues to the meaning of the words. If we look at the root rapt, the root is rapt. Rapt means either to break or rapt means burst, right? So rapt means to break or it means burst. So what does the word interrupt means? So if rapt means to break or burst, now we need to say what the meaning of the word interrupt would mean. Interrupt. Is it to hear the middle of a conversation, or is it to break in on something in the middle of? So is it option one or option two? All right, so if we look at the word interrupt, remember we said that the root rupt, it means to break or to burst, right? That is rupt. But now they want to know, what does the word interrupt mean? Does it mean to hear the middle of a conversation? Or is it to break in on something in the middle of it? Interrupt. Is it option one or option two? All right. And if we were to select the word that means, or let's say, what does the word interrupt means? Then we will say interrupt means to break in on something in the middle of it. Remember, rupt means to break or burst. Now, interrupt means to break in on something in the middle of it, right? And people who interrupt is very rude. Yes, the second one is correct. Well done. The second one is correct. A thermometer is a tool that measures heat or it measures temperature. The root meter means measure. What does the root therm means? Does it mean light or does it mean heat? All right. So now thermometer is a tool that measures heat or temperature, and the root meter means measure. What does the rule therm means? All right. And an let's say a thermometer is a tool that measures heat or temperature, and the root meter it means measure. All right. So the root meter means to measure. We need to say, what does the mean? And therm either means heat or therm means heat. Light, sorry, or heat. All right, it's heat or light. Let's say heat. And heat is correct. A telegraph, right? A telegraph is an old-fashioned way to send a written message to someone who is far away. So second one was correct. Well, oh, so the root tele, it means far away. What does the root graph mean? Graph. All right. So we say that a telegraph is an old-fashioned way to send a written message to someone who's far away. And the root teller, it means far away. But now we need to know, what does the word graph mean, right? So what does the root graph mean? Does it mean to write or to draw? Or does graph mean to bend or curve? So write or draw, bend or curve. The meaning of graph. All right, then if we choose the correct word or the correct option, we will go with the first option, which is the graph means to write or to draw. So well done. Well done. That is correct. Geology is the study of the biological, chemical, sorry, and physical history of the earth. So in this case, the root logi, right? It means the study of something. And then what does the root geo mean? All right. So we said geology is the study of the biological, chemical, and physical history of the earth. And the root logi means the study of something. So it's a study of something. Now we need to say, what does the root geo mean? Geo. Is the root geo to write or draw, or is it earth or row? So geo, is geo to write or to draw, or geo? Does it mean earth or rock? Geo for geology. Geo for geology. All right. So yeah, we says a megaphone is a device that makes your voice sound louder or it makes your voice sound bigger. And the root phone, which is PHON, once again, it means sound, right? Remember we said the word phone means sound, which is PHON, right? That means sound, right? And now we need to say what does the root mega means? The root mega. All right. All right. And we once again said phone means sound. And then we have like a xylophone, which is a musical instrument that he has that, that creates sound. And we said homophones are words with different meaning, but it's the same. All right. Look at the word mega, right? Look at the word mega. We need to say what the word mega means. Mega. The way I see it, mega means like something big or it means something huge. But what does the word mega mean? All right. So for me, the way I see it, mega means something big, it means something huge. Yes, and if we scroll down here, as I say, a megaphone is a device that makes your voice sound louder or bigger. The word phone means sound, homophone, xylophone, right, means silent, but the root mega, mega, mega. All right. So basically, phone means sound, and the root of mega, it means big, right? It means big. All right. Oh, and we did say mega means big because here it says megaphone, and it says that it's a device that makes your voice sound louder or bigger. And then phone means sound. And if you put those two words together, then the root mega means big. All right. Remember, a root is a word that, let's say, it's almost like a word that can stand on its own, right? And once other words are added to the root, then the meaning of the word changes. So it's a root is a part of a word that has a certain meaning. And these words that share the same root, often they have similar meanings that are related to the meaning of the forex, of the root, sorry, of the root, right? All right. So basically, when it comes to Greek and Latin roots, right, then it means that we first need to identify the root, right? All right. And once again, we said a root is a part of a word that has a certain meaning. So the root has a meaning, and then all the other add-ons to that word also has a meaning. And then once we write it together, then it creates basically one meaning of a specific word. All right, this is the end of our lesson on Greek and Latin roots. Thank you very much, grade 4, for joining, right? And I really hope you're going to have a good evening further. Goodbye.